the biggest things where I really started learning to uncover identity alchemism and even break down the parts. And those of you that are listening, identity alchemism is really what I really imagine is our special sauce in our program. And it's about having an outcome, but then what do you need to do to have and to actually do that outcome? And you need to be the person. And so you have your thoughts. I need to think like a rich person to make a lot of money. Then I need to speak like a rich or wealthy person to be a wealthy person. And then I will do the actions that a wealthy person does, and then I will do them often enough that they become my habits, and then my outcome is that I will be wealthy.
Boom, 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 boom. What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast with your boys, Matt Wolf and Joe Fier. Check it.
Are you ready for this?
I do not know if I'm ready for this or not. I don't know what I'm about to get myself into.
I do.
All right, tell me.
Why would I tell you? I like to leave you on pins and needles.
Well, okay, tell the audience.
So
then.
Today, don't listen. Mute your headphones. Today we have the one and only, the Mr. Alpha Hippie himself. His name is Angelo Sisco. Sisco, I think. It's actually a Cisco, I think. But I'll say Sisco because we wanted to have him back on the show because we've been helping each other out.
Yep.
He's been helping us up level some really cool stuff that we're going to speak about now, which is basically helping us show up as more pro men.
Yes.
But when it comes to business, life, just happier, having more fun, just being chill and doing some cool shit along the way.
Yeah, we had him on once before, and back when we talked to him last time, he actually was running a CrossFit gym in Chicago.
Very successful one,
He went on to sell that business and move over to Southern California, and we asked him, why did you come to Southern California? And we got some, I think we got some interesting insights into the way his brain works just through finding out why he moved over to California.
How did you know that? You said you didn't know what's to come. So Matt's a liar. We cannot trust you, sir.
I cannot be trusted.
Cannot be trusted. But
I thought the audience knew we were joking.
Oh man, okay. They're in on the joke. So I would say a big takeaway, one of the big things you'll get here through the course conversation, because we just jump right in as we love it, is be ready to look at your identity in a new light.
Yes.
And that might sound a little scary, but this you're going to have some actionable tips and things that will shine a light on things you probably not have been thinking about.
Yeah.
And it'll allow you to move and groove through life a little easier.
You also learn about where you might be screwing up with your choices of music, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, that's deep.
So check out the notes, flowchartgroup.com. You can grab the full action guide for this episode and join our Facebook group if you do it within 2 weeks of this going live. That's over at flowchartgroup.com. And let's go talk to Angelo right after this sponsor real quick.
Yeah, we are back with, this is Ahrefs. So Ahrefs came back and they, a lot of y'all have been talking a lot about the Ahrefs stuff.
We've talked a lot about Ahrefs
We
stuff.
did a lot of talking about Ahrefs, yes, for years now. And it's a good thing because you hear all the SEO experts come across our podcast. This is the tool they're always talking about, is Ahrefs. Well, there's something new from Ahrefs, and we want to Matt's going to tell you about it.
Yeah, Ahrefs actually has a free version. So if you've been hearing us talk about Ahrefs and you're like, that sounds cool, I need to get me some of that. Well, guess what? They got a free one if you haven't been able to afford the previous one. It's over at ahrefs.com/AWT. That stands for Ahrefs Webmaster Tools, and it's their new free entry into the SEO market. You could get in there. It gives you tons of stats, SEO issue monitoring, advice on how to fix issues. You can see all the backlinks to your website, broken link data, link type data, the various keywords, SEO metrics. All of this is in the free plan over at ahrefs.com/AWT.
No credit card required. Go sign up. ahrefs.com/AWT. What's up, Mr. Sisco? How you doing?
I'm absolutely fucking amazing. I'm so excited to be here, to be on the show with you guys. Amazing day. How are both of you?
Absolutely fabulous. It's a great day here. It's a podcast day, and we're chatting with one of our favorite humans. We've been chatting about you quite often lately.
Yeah, it's
on,
come
on
up.
other episodes.
Anybody listening to the podcast has heard your name come up on probably the last 3 or 4 episodes.
That's right. Mr. Alpha Hippie himself, Angelo Sisco, is in the house.
Ooh,
So, yeah, man.
thank you so much.
There it
What a
is.
nice title.
But yeah, so you, was it 2 years? 3 years ago we've had you on. I don't know, how long has it been? Do you remember?
I don't know off the top of my head. Yeah, but it's been a couple of years since you were on the show, and we'll make sure we link up in the show notes so anybody who wants to hear your backstory and, kind of how you got to where you are. We did talk about it in the last episode, but I know there's more to the story since then, and I think that's what we're going to get into today.
Things have changed. You're now just right up the road from us. You used to be in Chicago when we chatted last. I remember you had all these epic whiteboards everywhere, I think in your condo or something. You're in San Clemente now.
In my apartment, my living room was all whiteboards. Remember when we had that first meeting even about O'Hare CrossFit and Evergreen Profits? It was just you like writing on the walls, and it was just everywhere.
He had like no shirt on. It must have been a hot friggin' Chicago day. I'm like, who's this guy just writing on all of his walls? I'm like, it looked like I don't know what to call it, but it was crazy. I've never seen anything like it, man. So what brought you to I don't want to say San Diego, but it's San Clemente where you're at. So SoCal.
California.
That's right. What brought you here, and like what's the change looked like since Chicago to now? I know it's been a year since you've been here.
Yeah. So what really brought me here originally was a lot of my transformational work and my self-discovery work. That's where I first ventured into Southern California, and then I was in Encinitas and coming back and forth through here. And a friend of mine, Marcus, who lives in the area, I would come visit him around San Clemente. There's something about San Clemente to me that has such a nostalgia about it. Some people love novelty, which I imagine, I do too, but I'm a sucker for nostalgia.
Mm-hmm. What kind of nostalgia are we talking?
Like 1960s America, like early 60s.
Okay.
When the debate was who was going to be the president, Kennedy or Nixon, but no one was mad about either one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right? Like that type of era where it was cool to be American. The nuclear family was the thing, right? You all of that. I love the idea of that. In my house, that was a really big part of my upbringing. Like my mother grew up 1954 is the year my parents were born. So that early 60s, my mother still knows where she was the day Kennedy got shot. All of that was in my life. My mother grew up in Beatles mania.
That's right.
Right? Like these amazing times. My dad was the Rebels, so he liked the Rolling Stones more. You know the deal, right?
Man.
Just like these were the discussions of the times, and when the more I hung out around San Clemente, the neighborhood itself, like near the beach, it looks and feels that way and felt that way. And when Rocio and I had our son Santiago in 2019, excuse me, I really started looking at, what we wanted life to be like for us. And was where we were living right now, where we would want to raise our son. Even though that we were raised there, is that really where we wanted to raise a child? We really didn't love being in that energy.
In Chicago.
It's just the vibration of Chicago, and also too the lack of nature and environment.
That's true.
I really believe the environment is much shaped by how lack of nature, vitamin D, and all of that vibe is. It's not as welcoming to me as it once was many, many years ago. And I really believe it's because of this lack of being in nature and lack of all that stuff. And so we decided in 2019 that we were going to move to San Clemente. And February, I started inviting everyone I knew that was going to be to a 4th of July party. We told our family, I cooked everyone a Christmas dinner, both sides of our family, 18 people. Before everyone left, I go, hey guys, real quick, I got an announcement to make. Me and Rose threw up there. I go, we're moving to California in the summer.
You're like, oh.
And they were like, I'm like, yeah, see you guys. And then, dude, 2020 came, and
dang, what a year to be here, huh?
2020 showed everyone what they were really prepared for as far as depth of chaos, like your chaos tolerance.
For sure.
And for me, someone that has been such a practitioner of going deep into myself, into my discomforts and fears, to me, it was when I got to show everyone this is why I've been sitting around timing my breathing, and like it was almost my show out year. That's what I felt like. I was like, I've been waiting for this. This is when I separate myself from other people, not fall with other people. This is, oh God. Have you guys ever heard the song I Need a Hero by Bonnie Tyler? It's when in Footloose,
I'm sure.
when they're doing the tractor chicken showdown.
Hero.
Yeah.
And the opening line is, where have all the good men gone and where are all the gods? Where's the streetwise Hercules to fight the rise in us? And I would listen to that every day of that lockdown. And I go, I'm the streetwise Hercules. Here I go, baby. And it just like all showed up that way. That's how I really spelled myself into believing and continuing to believe in it. And something that you guys alluded to earlier about the identity alchemy is that's who I saw myself as, not the guy that was, I'm the streetwise Hercules to fight the rise in these people, the chaos in these people. I'm not meant to fall into their chaos.
Yeah.
I'm here to harmonize it. Here I go, baby. Give you my best shot. And that's what really led us through being here the last year. And now that we're here a year, I feel I've never felt like the first year, boys, getting out here was the big lift. And then I spent most of 2020 and then into this early part of this year in my own chaos, trying to figure out what it was like to be out here and frankly live this California lifestyle that I really didn't know.
Yeah.
Like visiting it is one thing, but living in it is a whole nother idea.
Oh, yeah, man.
So it's been awesome.
It's been a cool time getting to know you further, man. And both of us, you know, we just hung out not too long ago, a couple weeks ago up there, had a cool afternoon brainstorming business stuff, but it's cool to kind of bring our minds together now. And it's obvious hanging around you, kind of this different, just a different approach. You have a different perspective of almost everything. It seems like there's always a great story attached to it that anchors the thing in. You're like, oh, damn, I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah. Actually, you know, on that point, I'm actually kind of curious. The storytelling, is that something that you developed over time, or do you think that's something that's just kind of always innately been in you?
Great question, man. I grew up around men that knew how to chew the fat and bullshit. I really did. Like everyone knew how to give a good story.
Yeah.
Everyone knew that the story was 65, 70% true, 30% embellishment. But it was such a great story, you know, hanging out on the front stoop or outside a cafe.
Yeah.
You know, everyone just let it go. And then someone else would go, you know, they try to call someone out on their BS, or they would give their version of another story. And so I grew up around a lot of really great storytellers. And also, too, I really am a pop culture or movie and music person where I've always been into that. I was never really athletic. And so my athlete, or even how I look now, that was much later in my life. So as a younger kid, I really spent a lot of time. Remember Goosebumps?
Oh, yeah, man.
I was like an R.L. Stein junkie.
Really?
Like, oh my God. Just all the different ones that would come out. I would read a Goosebumps in a day. I was one of those kids, you know, that was really into story and movie and just having this opportunity. And then further down the road I go and learn more about cognitive behavioral therapy and what it really is like to work in, you know, transformation or identity alchemism, as I really like to call it. Guys, it's all about recreating the stories. And then when I was going deeper in business, how much more is everything about building a story brand, winning the story roles, always sell a story? And I'm just like, oh, I've been getting trained in enterprise and healing myself ever since I was 3 years old, hanging out on the stoop.
Yeah.
You're a front stooper, right? That's what I heard.
Front stoop, baby.
And not just that too, but like the ability to tell a good story, you can now analogize things, right? Like you could create analogies when you're trying to explain concepts and you're trying to help us understand some of the mental models that you're out there teaching. You teach them in a way where you tell a story that's kind of feels unrelated, but by the time you get to the end of the story, you're like, okay, now I understand what you're trying to say over here, right? So the ability to tell stories makes you really good at analogies, which makes you an excellent teacher. Like when we were hanging out with you just a couple weeks ago, I remember every single question I would ask, you'd be like, Matt, let me tell you something. And then you'd branch off into a story and you'd answer my question within the story instead of just going straight to the answer. And I feel like that ability just locks it in for people.
Yeah, so I'd love to unpack that for you.
That'd be great.
So one of the biggest things where I really started learning to uncover identity alchemism and even break down the parts. And those of you that are listening, identity alchemism is really what I really imagine is our special sauce in our program. And it's about having an outcome, but then what do you need to do to have and to actually do that outcome? And you need to be the person. And so you have your thoughts. I need to think like a rich person to make a lot of money. Then I need to speak like a rich or wealthy person to be a wealthy person. And then I will do the actions that a wealthy person does. And then I will do them often enough that they become my habits. And then my outcome is that I will be wealthy. Oftentimes people get stuck in just trying to do the wealthy things, but you only do what you believe. So it's not logical. It's about identity shifting. That's why it's identity alchemism. Thoughts to words to actions, actions repeated or habits equals outcomes. So I started studying what a thought was. And this will get back to your point, Matt. I'm bringing it around, just like we said. A thought is an image and a feeling. And then our words translate it. So if you tell a good story, you get someone to imagine and feel, and then they could wrap their head around the thought.
Would you say that the feeling gets them tapped into themselves and maybe a story that they have playing already in their mind, so it relates to that immediately, subconsciously even?
Sometimes I'm trying to recreate the image, Joe. Great question. So that's why I give such a thorough story, so I could take you with me and not have us be in miscommunication. So that's why, Matt, when you ask a question, sometimes I don't answer it right away, because how many times in a disagreement, miscommunication or misunderstanding have been that I see patients like this and you see patients like this, like one word being misunderstood. But if I could delete your version and get you seeing it, my version, my point of view, we could develop an empathy and an understanding. And then from the root, we have context. And then no matter what else happens after that, we know that the chances of us having some sort of disagreement, conflict, are less and less. So it leads actually to better communication, because oftentimes what people believe is something in their past when you bring something up. And it's no different to me than when someone's like, yeah, you want to try this pizza? What's on it? Mushrooms. Oh, I hate mushrooms. Why? Because when you were 6, it's a past story. How do you know you hate these mushrooms, bro? You didn't even try one.
Yeah.
You get me?
Totally.
Or like, for instance, with the bags. Like, that's why I sell the bags so hard, because how many people go, tobacco? Dun dun dun. Right, and they go into this reading every surgeon's label.
Yeah. Well, when you say tobacco, that's actually a really good example because I think my whole relationship and perspective on tobacco went a complete 180-degree shift just from spending a day with you.
Right. Dude,
Where going into the conversation, I probably had this negative spin on tobacco as like tobacco, it's bad, it kills people. Everybody I know who smokes cigarettes, it's like disgusting, blah, 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 right? But then like we have a discussion, and before I can even sort of air out what I don't like about tobacco, you're telling me a story that brings it all the way around so that my arguments they're not invalid, but they're irrelevant to the conversation we're having.
Right. Because most of it's based off being a victim some way, right? But the people that sue McDonald, it's not McDonald's fault. God, no. Don't go there.
It's not your place.
Don't eat nuggets every day, Jack. You won't be fat. It's guaranteed. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? But that's so much of what holds our lives back. Is having those past thoughts and experiences. And that's why being able to give good stories and recreate stories and all of that in our minds then creates new thought patterns, new neural pathways for our brain of understanding, expands us.
Yeah.
And then can allow for shifts.
Yeah. So basically everybody's they're walking around with the stories from their past that the stories are what lead to a lot of the decisions they make in life right now. So the philosophy you have is you've already got these stories. Me trying to make tweaks to your stories isn't going to work. So I'm just going to replace these stories. So I'm going to the story you've got here, I'm going to replace it real quick. Now we're operating from this point of view.
Right. And now we're operating from the same anchor. When we have the same anchor, we're starting together. And so the disagreement or misunderstanding and even the rigidness falls away. Because before you knew it, you were open to trying. And now all of a sudden you're like, yeah, tobacco's not bad. The user is.
Yeah.
Or the way it's used. Yeah.
Right, it's misunderstood, misused. Just like the internet, just like McDonald's, just like junk food.
Is there a good use for McDonald's though? Let's clear that up really fast.
Full confession.
Okay, no judgment.
When I go to a foreign country, I always try the McDonald's.
Bro, when I went to Morocco, it was like, that was the best place. I went there, I think, twice. And yes, you're right. It was like, it's different here. This is a whole new experience. And it's better there, too.
Best McDonald's ever is 3 blocks from the Vatican.
Really?
Okay? Between us.
Yeah.
Where else can you get chicken nuggets and a really good espresso?
Hell yeah.
Okay?
Oh.
Challenge anyone.
Damn, that's good.
And then go visit the Pope.
Yeah, and then you get to see the Sistine Chapel same day after you dip the 20-piece out. Got it. A little espresso. Before you know it, you're doing the crosses, you're kissing up, and you're looking around.
You're feeling great.
You're with God.
Dude, yeah. Literally. You were there in all parts. Dude, so finding those stories, that's where I was going to go. So Matt and I recently completed part of your Alpha Hippie training, which we have talked about. This is the man in charge. And I feel like that was that an exercise, and you can totally correct me, but like it was this breakthrough portion of your program, and it seemed like that was us searching for the stories, these repeating things that get us stuck in whatever circumstance in life. And that was our process that you guys walked us through to not only identify them, but get really comfortable with them, acknowledge them, be grateful for them, and then finally own them and move on, but at least, now we know what these stories are. So that's what I want to dig in a little bit. So these thoughts that we're all walking around with, tell me about that. So maybe it's that process I was kind of saying. Can you walk us through kind of what that looks like, how to identify them, and where to go?
Yeah. First of all, congratulations on moving through that first phase, gentlemen.
Thank you.
The first phase is the hardest phase, really, because what we're doing is we're removing the weeds of your garden, which are the stories that are misunderstood, because a 6-year-old is still telling the story.
Ain't that the truth?
And we're hearing it from a 6-year-old's point of view, with lacking any understanding, any empathy, any true context to what's going on in life. Yet, as 36-year-olds, 46-year-olds, it's how we're actually living our lives for most people. And so the first 4 weeks is about taking out the weeds. And then the second 8 weeks is about now deciding as adults what stories, what do we want to plant in the garden. And then the second 4 weeks is me guiding you to become the person that is the gardener of your life. And that's the identity alchemism shift, because the thoughts and the words, then the actions, and then the habits. That's what that whole program walks you through. Is first, I need to take out the weeds. Then, now that the weeds are gone, who do you really want to be? What's the outcome? And then, all right, so that's what we're going for. How would that person think? How would that person speak? What would that person do? And what would they do repetitively? And then we design that together, right? And then I send you on your way and hope that you love me, and one day you become real rich and leave a bushel of 50s outside my door with a little note.
Here you go, my friend.
No, but you guys get it. That's the real work of this 12 weeks, and it's designed incredibly intentionally to really get that flowing through people.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to break down a few of the elements too that you would go over with people in some of the weeks, but like right in the very beginning, and this is some of the exercises we've already done, but I want to hear it from your words and your perspective. You know, what's some ways people can identify the words, the thoughts, the stories that they're currently telling themselves that are no longer serving them?
Awareness is the starting line to the divine. Awareness is the starting line to the divine inside of all of us. First, it's about becoming a witness to your life and not just living your life. And that may sound relatively simple in theory, and it really is when you break it down, but oftentimes that's usually where people are, the struggle is, are you paying attention on what you're doing or what I'm doing or anyone, for yourselves, to the point where you are not reacting to life, you are responding to it. And because responding requires you to actually think about what you're doing and actually seeing yourself doing it. When we react to life, it's based on programming or an iOS system that we may not have, majority of people did not put there, did not choose for it to be there, and no wonder their outcomes in life are not what they really designed it to be. And they've read every single book on planet Earth on how to be better, but that's only for their conscious brain. They haven't gotten to the real gatekeeper, which is your subconscious stories, which are the ones that are shaped from 0 to 7.
You have me thinking more of like the language side of things now, because this is kind of bouncing around, but this is like where it came up, like the whole masculine and feminine energy, but the way that maybe there's stories there's a specific language where that pops up, and it seems to be tied to some, maybe how we're presenting ourselves and the way that we act in our lives, through business, the way that our motivations are. It could be rooted in kind of like this previous trauma or this story that we have from childhood that we have no clue about. I'd be kind of curious to explore thoughts around that and how it kind of relates to this process we went through as well.
Great. Energy Dynamics 101, just for anyone that's listening. There's two major frequencies in the world. This has nothing to do what you have in your pants. This is not a gender specific thing. And this is why I'm really writing the book as well, because saying feminine and masculine puts people into a story too far back, and then I'm just like, I gotta explain this to you again.
It's kind of scared to use the terms like that. But.
Right. And so literally the book I'm writing right now, the Alpha Hippie Code, is all about recreating names for this as well. Like I teach it, and then I go, this is what we're calling it, and this is what we're calling it, and this is what I encourage you to call it from now on. Because too much windows and closed go up when I go, you know, Matt, you need to have more feminine in you. And you're like, what do I mean? Lipstick and rubber dress drag? Like it just like it goes into a place where, you know, if I told my dad, listen, man, you need to really have more access to your feminine energy, he'd go, I'd give you this feminine, grab his ball, give me the fingers, I'm gonna go screw myself, right? I mean, just it doesn't, people don't get it. But these dynamics are inside of all of us. The more denial of one leaves you dominant in the other, and I'm willing to bet that is why anyone actually has some sort of suffering. They diagnose it with different things, yet an imbalance or misharmony in anyone is really the result or real source of what trauma is. So feminine energy is the self, and also a nurturing, warm energy that we all must be able to give ourselves an access. It's your heart, per se. Masculine energy is a advancing, more action-taking, and also to the seat of integrity and or trusting yourself. So you guys could see, when you really break it down, if you can't give yourself grace, which is loving acceptance, which is for me the ultimate feminine, and you can't trust yourself, which I call integrity, which is trust plus, you know, just knowing who you are, right? Like that is it. The integrity. I do what I say I'm going to do. I know that if I'm backed up against that corner, I'm the person that I want in that corner. I'm the one that wants the ball with 10 seconds to go in my life.
Hell yeah.
I don't want to dish it to someone else. I got the shot. Because when you feel that way, when you could accept yourself, that leads to loving yourself, the removing of judging yourself, compassion, forgiveness, and then moves you into gratitude. Then you shift into that masculine side, where then what couldn't you do if you loved yourself, you gave yourself compassion, and then you trusted yourself that you could advance. And then there's the divine, which is gratitude, faith that life is happening for you and not to you. That's why I call it the gig triangle. Once you know the gig triangle, what couldn't you do? I fully love and accept myself from my past, who I am, and when I'm imperfect, I could give myself grace. I know that who I am, I believe in myself, I trust myself, I live with integrity because I know that I'm going to show up for me and the people that count on me. And then I believe in the divine, which is gratitude that life is happening for me, so that I know that things in the short term, even if they don't feel great, they were really meant for me. What kind of life wouldn't you lead of that's bliss?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing too, is it's not about happiness, it's about bliss. They're two different things. Happy to me is a like kind of, oh, I'm happy, you know, and then I could be sad, and I get that. But what we really want is a life of bliss, just serenity.
So is that more of a flow state through life?
Yeah,
Contentment.
I'm blissful.
Sure.
You're not too happy. You're not too sad. You're not wearing either imposter.
Yeah. I was actually reading a book that just this weekend that was referring to that as just feeling content. People say they want to be happy, but really what they're looking for is they just want to be content. They not too happy, not too, just kind of baseline, contentment.
Yeah. Well, because with any spike and craziness or whatever, there's always a trailing off period. I mean, there's always a finding center, a balance-ish. It's never going to be there, but that's why we can be content throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's what we can control, so might as well take hold of it. Navigate the wildness or whatever the world gives us, you know?
Yeah. I feel like, so when we were up at your place a couple weeks ago, and we were driving back, and Joe and I were kind of debriefing on the drive home, because it's about an hour and a half drive or whatever. One of the comments that I made to Joe is it's interesting because when I'm in your presence, I feel like there's something about you that's both intimidating but also inviting and welcoming. Like I didn't have any discomfort about like, I could ask you anything and you would love to tell me a story about that thing. But there was also this sort of like, you're someone to be respected and slightly intimidated by, but also very welcoming. And to me, that felt like that feminine, masculine energy just like manifested right there in front of me. Like that is who you are. And I feel like that's something that you kind of methodically created. It sounds like what you're telling me is like this was an identity that you've built over time, was to create this identity of somebody that is respected by others, but also very welcomed by others, that people feel comfortable, but also slightly intimidated by. Is that kind of like the design that you created for yourself?
Guys, what's really interesting, you've done the story work. My story, if you will, is a divine masculine once I learned to love it. And so it really worked out well. And so for you, Matt, the first thing I encourage you to do is live a life that nothing intimidates you, you're intrigued. So no man intimidates me. I'm intrigued by a lot of fucking. So intriguing, like, how excitement and nervous are really the same feelings? They really are. What's the difference? Your lens. Right? So why would anyone intimidate you? You are a beautiful, successful man that has a lot to offer, many cool party tricks. You're open enough to blow some bags. You're a stud. You're courageous. So no man should intimidate you. They might intrigue you, but not intimidate.
Interesting. I like that
perspective.
Right?
Yeah.
And for me, as a man, what really separates a man from a boy is I don't care if people like me. I give a fuck if people respect me. Treat me with respect. You could go home and light voodoo dolls and throw darts at pictures of me. I'll sleep just fine. When you're in my presence, you better respect me. Because I'm a man and I know I paid the price to be one. And that to me is really important. And then being able to be comfortable inside of my heart allows me to be welcoming and warm with others. And so I'm happy to be a host and connect because I host and connect my heart. And so that's what you're really accurate with, Matt, is I've learned to harmonize my frequencies enough and also be okay with being in one versus the other, and knowing more intentionally now than ever when I need to be in one energy versus the other. See, a lot of people, first is understanding the energy. 2, doing the work to heal, therefore access the energy. And then number 3 is the skill of knowing where you're at in your life and which one should you be in a little bit more of. Because it's not about being in balance, it's in being in harmony. I'll share this because this is a business show. So in business, there's 3 stages in an enterprise. There's sharing, there's connecting, and then there's selling. There's making the deal.
Mm-hmm.
The first two are feminine. The last one is masculine.
Mm-hmm.
So when I share my message, I share it with beauty and art and love, which is marketing. Then I advertise and connect to those that like the sound of my message. So if you like what I'm sharing, I'm going to advertise with you and or connect deeper with you because you already raised your hand that this interests you. You perked up.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it gets down to the X's and O's of business, my feelings will be muted because it has nothing to do with feelings at that point. Because now I'm a hunter, making sure that my business and my family eats. And if there's an antelope, a crowd of antelopes, and one of them has a broken leg, I guess it's an easy hunt today, boys. And I don't feel bad about taking that broken leg one and giving myself an easy day. And that's business.
Yeah. Well, so
Isn't
many
it?
people struggle with sales, for instance, like that. And it's because they might be in the same mindset of that first day they, found someone, connected with someone, conversations. And then, and then the point comes where they might get a no from, or not right now, or let me, and, oh God, they didn't like it. No, I'm not good at this. Man, maybe I'm pricing this way too high. I'm not. Yeah. And then, no. That's the wrong approach. And we've had people, sales folks on this show, talk about the hunt, the hunter, and I'm a meat eater. And, it's like it's almost like you've trained your mind to then flip into this mindset, because that's not always how these folks, it's like a UFC fighter. It's like, some of the nicest people in the world. We both know some. And, they get in the ring, fucking animal. They're a beast. They'll tear your face off.
Well, we were literally watching UFC fighters de-escalate situations.
True.
We were up at your place a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's no big deal. But you see, and what most people do try to do in business is they try to do all three at once. And that's really why they struggle, or they're unaware of what frequency they should be bringing at that moment.
So how do you, are there some obvious ones in, let's say, business or, common things that you come across where maybe we should be able to identify these a little clearer than they are?
Yeah, real simple. First two things. Anyone that doesn't know what I mean, watch that scene in Tommy Boy when he's talking about Pretty Little Pet. That is literally what he means.
I'm trying to recall the scene.
I know he's a little
my pretty little pet.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay,
freaks out. Yeah.
The first two, when you are in your feminine, there is no desired outcome. The feminine is a feeling. When you get to the masculine, you either made the sale or you didn't. You either brought the food home or you didn't.
It's more binary then, right? Masculine. Right. Okay.
So when you get to the deal, it's very binary. So when you go share your message, when you're looking at your marketing, it's how does my marketing feel?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to look at the results to make sure your feelings are aligned, I'm with you. Yet it should be, how does my marketing make my client feel?
Mm-hmm.
Once if that's working well, how am I connecting with them? Are they listening more? Are they moving into sales calls? Great. It's all feeling at first. But then when you get down to the business, hey, do you got the dinner or not? The kids are hungry. You can't cut checks for your mortgage with feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why that part needs to go away for a little bit, and that needs to go there. And this is really, believe it or not, more beneficial for the female entrepreneurs, I realized, is because they're such great nurturers most of the time when they're feminine dominant. which is predominantly women, but some men may wear it too. But then when it comes out time to pull their pistols and go to work, they're shooting water guns, and someone else is just like, "What, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Good luck killing this thing." Right? And that's because they're not able to detach from the feeling, because the hunter needs to have the right tools. They need to be prepared. They need to understand the aim, the goal, the bottom line. Like, they need to be ready to walk away from the deal. Right? That moment of negotiation. Can you not have feelings and wait and simmer in that depth with that person? We all know when we're on that sales call, whoever speaks first loses. And then whoever speaks usually has a feeling.
Yeah.
Because they're chaotic. They're just reacting to it.
Yeah.
But then the masculine should be able to simmer. And so that's really what I've learned, is the stages are misunderstood, and that's why people aren't successful. And or that's why people that are really passionate about their job need to also, or like coaches or any guides like that, they also need to access and have a good, healthy relationship with their masculine. Because basically what you're saying is, I know that I could go be an animal, but the animal's not going to, I'm going to hold the leash on the animal. The animal's not going to hold the leash on me. But you have to go be an animal, just like the fighter example.
And that's why you're the alpha, right? You're the alpha in any situation. It just might be that more feminine, dominant, or masculine.
Yeah, to me, the alpha is someone that leads the dance. That's all. You're keeping your ear on the beat the whole time for the room. Because what I look to do is stabilize the frequencies that are around me. And to me, the ultimate form of the alpha or masculine is to be a stabilizer or a safety net for everyone that they're around or they could touch. Right? I was telling some guys in my men's group, it should feel like when you get on this call, you're walking around with the biggest boobs in the street, and you've had a bra on all day, and you could just take your bra off in here. I don't care how big your boobs are, right? And it should feel that way. Like you should feel like, oh.
Yeah. Let loose.
Yeah, just that sigh.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I first embody, and then I coach other men to embody.
No, and so you obviously train men, and you basically you take men pro, you turn them pro, or help them turn themselves pro, I guess. But yeah, there's so much for women to take from this, and I think, like you said, this is probably one of the biggest, is understanding where the energy shows up and what to do to flip it. So like, what is generally, like, how would, if someone were to identify, like, I'm struggling with sales, or I'm a woman, I'm struggling to do some of these more masculine energy tasks, like, what are some approaches that people can take to, if they're aware of these things, of course, but are there some couple things we can test out here?
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys my real secret, my favorite thing. And I said it a little bit earlier. I alluded to it. Perfect way to get to the callback, Joe. I listen to music. So these are energy frequencies. What's another frequency that we all consume is music. It's the ultimate frequency changer. So I have music that I listen to begin embodying the frequency before I do anything. So I get into the part. So when I come home every day and I'm about to go see my family, and no longer should I be that killer, I listen to womanly songs. I have multiple songs that remind me of Rocio, and then I have one song that is my mother. So the song with my mother is The First Time I Saw Your Face by Roberta Flack. And I imagine that it's when I came out of the womb, it says, the first time I saw your face, I thought the sun rose in your eyes, and the moon and the stars were the kisses that you gave. And it connects me to my heart because that's who I believe the perfect mother is. When you come out of the womb and I watched this with my own son. When that boy put his head on his mother, he knew that he was safe at home. And there was no reason to be worried anymore. And so I use that. When I'm coming down the street, walking down to do a podcast, I got my Biggie Smalls Versace glasses, and I got some Kanye West and Jay-Z Watch the Throne.
Yeah.
And I'm strutting down the street, imagining that I got the biggest schwanz in the world before I get on these shows or podcast myself or Bigs of Steels, because I want to walk in the room like I'm the predator. You're in the room with me. I'm not in the room with you, Jack. And so that's how I do is I use music so intentionally to trigger me into what energetic state I'm supposed to be in.
Got it. Yeah, so it can be like a transitionary period, like going back home before you show up with the family and the kids. To work, you want to get ramped up. You maybe have a speech coming up or sales call. You're like, let's get some freaking whatever, that masculine energy, that ramp up that's going to do it for you.
The implications that are interesting to me as well are that, like, the reverse is also true. So many people are out there pumping stuff into their head that's changing their energy, and they're subconsciously doing that, right? So, like, you could get in your car and put on the radio, and now you're giving the control to somebody else, essentially.
Right. You know, this whole like social dilemma thing, why not use it to your advantage?
That's right.
I was doing this when I first started studying NLP and triggers, right? Like neuro-linguistic programming. But now, guys, everyone knows the party trick, right? I mean, just so if they're hijacking your wires, why shouldn't you do it? For you, for the benefit of you.
For sure.
And now that we know from just listening to this show that there's two energetic frequencies, another way for energetic frequency that we all know is music, which is an input, right? It could even be just, sometimes I listen to if I just want to feel happy and let loose, I put on a fun house music set, and then all of a sudden I'm not in a funk anymore. If I want to bring myself down for a work session, I usually put on some melodic techno kind of Sasha Ben Bomer track to settle me into what I'm about to read. I take a little Tootski, drink an espresso. Before you know it, I'm reading things in flow.
Dude. I might have experienced that last night myself in that same format. It works fabulously.
Right. And so for me, be an energetic DJ of your life, because then you won't need to worry so much about what you're going to say.
I love the energetic DJ. I think that's like everyone can take that and run with it however it relates to their lives.
Right. And we've never had it so easy to actually do this. We have this available. Go on wherever you consume music and pick what frequency. One is called California Soul. That's mine. That for the heart. And then I have Alpha Hippie Life when I'm just ready to go get them.
Do you share these, man? Do you ever share any of your playlists?
It's funny. Here's the deal. I was once sharing them, but then people I wouldn't know would add on them. And I'm just like, dude,
they can't lock them down.
This is my intimacy. Don't just start adding your own because you think you can listen to it. But on SoundCloud, I actually have, if you go on my SoundCloud, I have the good shit. That's a bunch of good house music that I like that is both happy and also sort of that work frequency. Nice. And then I also, under my name, Angelo Sisco, I have something called Restore. And it's the music I listen to when I go take a sauna or when I'm trying to go for a walk of deep contemplation. And it's a low treble frequency to get me into that theta state. where I am more able to be in a sort of that subconscious dream world and really think deeper and more expansive about my life and things. And so, yeah, dude, I really love it. Like, I just encourage everyone, find a song that reminds you of your father, find a song that reminds you of taking care of business. Funny thing about this, and I bring this up to my wife, not many people know this. I've always wanted to be the person in movies that pick the songs.
Oh yeah?
Like for scenes, like there's just certain scenes in movies that I remember just have you guys ever heard of A Bronx Tale? It's a
Heard of it.
90s movie with Chaz Palminteri, Robert De Niro, it's amazing. But there's a big fight scene. And what's playing in the background is Come Together. but you feel the build. 1 and 1 is 3, and then all of a sudden the fight breaks out, and you could feel that energy build into that, right? Or God dang, guys, if Gonna Fly Now, does it make you want to run up the street, throw some shadow boxing punches? Nothing will. Like, we're affected by this. It's inside of us because, like I said, it gets past the gatekeeper because they're frequencies. It's deeper than just that human in us. And that's why I love the music stuff, because when you could use it intentionally, you don't have to think so much, because thinking is exhausting.
Your thinking gets you in trouble. It just ruins it. You know, in the experience, it feels like, too. You're out of flow then.
Right. So here's why we go back to identity alchemism. So you don't become a human doing, because doing is exhausting. You become a human being. You be the thing, and then you don't have to think so much. You could trust yourself, because overthinking is a strategy that we've created because we don't trust ourselves and our instincts. And that's because we don't know what frequency we're really supposed to be in. One, we don't understand the frequencies. We're not aware of them. We don't know which one we're supposed to be in. We don't know how to get ourselves into it. Rinse and repeat. And so every day, though, the goal is to be in harmony with them. So when I wake up in the morning, I go to access my masculine. I take care of business. And then when my work day is done, I go be Angelo, the guy that comes home, cries on his front porch, and makes his family dinner. Right? I become I tell people I become the fat Buddha. The one.
The good one.
Behind, right? Like, that's what you
one.
guys see when I'm connecting and sharing and loving. I'm the fat Buddha. Happiness and abundance. But then when it comes time for business, the fat Buddha turns into me, this other version of me that's, like you said, Matt, some may find intimidating. But that has nothing to do with me. That has to do with someone else's lens of me. All I'm looking for is respect and the big piece of chicken.
Papa's hungry.
Yeah. Like I said, if you are not the predator, once you get to that masculine part, you're the prey. And then nature just plays itself out, boys.
That's it. We're just playing in nature. That's all this is some glorified, crazy nature that we've constructed of ourselves.
Yeah, we don't want to admit that we're animals.
Dude,
it's just like, we're animals.
Yeah.
We sure are. The sooner we integrate with that, and the sooner that we could accept that and begin using our humanness, our prefrontal cortex, to develop a relationship with the animal instead of trying to deny that, is the moment that you actually reach enlightenment and a betterment of a person. But it's in denying of the animal or muting of the animal that usually leads us down a path of poor identification, which you guys can now imagine why everyone wants their own noun or whatever you call it. It's because you're misaligning your frequencies. That's a whole nother day. Me and Jordan Peterson will talk about that one day. But do you guys see what I'm saying? That's what's there, is this gap.
Well, what I read some, I think it's in the Psychology of Money. It was mentioned, this book that we're going through right now. Highly recommended, by the way. All credit to me. No, I'm just kidding, Matt. It's a great book, but there was a line in there, and it's a pretty, it's been said by other folks, but basically, like, being the average man or person is more noble than the one that's trying to do everything or is just going with the motions of society or life. The social media, gotta be there, gotta be here, but more of the average person. The way I'm thinking about it in context of what you're saying and who you are, I think that was the thing that's intrigued me and still does of you, Angelo, is, and I don't know if you remember, I'm like, you're so methodical with your movements and speech, and it just seems like like you mentioned earlier, you don't have a TV in your house, but for certain occasions you'll blow up the projector and go big with it when Conor McGregor, your boy, is on, but it's almost like you've achieved this averageness, and I say that in the best possible way ever, where you're not affected by the global, news. I know you just listen to or read local news, if even, and
Every week I read the SC Times. It's
That's
the only
it.
newspaper I read. It's my local St. Clemente
There you
Times.
go.
But like, I think that's the thing that's always intrigued me to you is every story you tell, every movement, breathing exercise you do. Like, I told you about this aching neck that I've had for literally over 10 years, ever since I've known Matt, basically. I'm like,
I created it, I'm sure.
probably some energy, finally you're clearing that out. Thank you, Ange.
Yeah.
But you're just like, oh yeah, just do some of this, put your neck over your ass basically, and stop leaning forward, because you're probably doing that in your desk, which I was. And then, like, it was like 2 days later, I texted you. I was like, holy crap, dude. Like, there's just certain things, like, I never knew about my body, and just positioning and breathing and slowing down and understanding language and energies. And it's kind of this pull to average or harmony,
Yeah.
that it's so a lot of folks just are probably ignorant, or not ignorant too, but not aware of, because of the noise of everything right now.
Ignorance is misunderstood. Ignorance isn't a bad thing. Ignorance just means you don't know what it is. I'm ignorant to things right now.
Yeah.
Everyone is ignorance. Ignorance is just the absence of awareness.
Outside of the
It's
SC
all-
News, SC Times, yeah, you don't know what's
Right.
happening in the county over. Yeah.
No clue.
It's
So
all right.
here's the deal. Is awareness leads to choice and intention. So I do things and make choices based off certain intentions that I have for myself. I just, because I could slow down enough to be aware, then I could have intention by what I'm doing. That's the difference between reaction and responding. So it may seem like I have so many things figured out. No, I just been living a life of more awareness and intention before some other people. I'm just grateful that I've had this time a gift to reflect.
Yeah.
That's all I've done. And now my choices are based off my own awareness. And also, too, I keep resorting back to this. I trust myself, which means I have a great relationship with my instincts. I don't let my brain second guess me. I let my brain make the plans. My instincts are the first thing. And I have, even if I make a bad choice, I do my best to not go against my instincts for too long. Because it's important to develop a good relationship with our instincts. Just like our instincts is another word for our animals. Because they were here before our prefrontal cortex. We survived a long time without being so reasoning and so intellectual and all of this stuff. Let's all stop pretending like that, and or letting our party trick, which is our reasoning as humans, That's what separates from our animals, right? We have this prefrontal cortex that can imagine things, create the ego, create the boogeyman, and create the hero. Yet oftentimes, we use it in the wrong order. See, people they might feel something, but then they let their brain talk out. No. I feel something. My heart inspires. My brain conspires, and my you-know-what makes the fire, puts me in action. Yet, oftentimes, we might be inspired, but then our brain doesn't work in our favor. It works against us, or our minds work against us. And that's no different than you having an imaginary best friend or you believing in the boogeyman. They're a choice. They're the same people. They come the same way. So either you could be scared or you could have your best buddy with you at all times.
Damn, that's good. The pinch point, the point of resistance is the mind, man. And it's like you clear that up and then what's going to happen? Pretty cool shit, I think. Huh?
Yeah, it's called an iPhone. It's called a car.
That's right.
Like, think of all these amazing, cool things.
Yeah, every breakthrough out there. Yeah.
Right. Could you just imagine if Steve Jobs imagined the iPhone and then gave himself all the reasons why it would be stupid?
Right.
No, he's like, yeah, this could be super cool.
And you just
I don't even know where this could go. Let's just give it a try.
Yeah.
And that's because he had a really good relationship with his instincts.
Yeah.
See, Elon Musk didn't know about how to build rocket ships. He hired engineers to build rocket ships. But he had a feeling about rocket ships and living on Mars. Same thing about electric cars and now about Neuralink. So if anyone out there wants to be a visionary, do not allow the mind to put you in decline. That's it. Give yourself a chance. Feel something and go, well, how can I do it? Right? Or I tease people when they come to San Clemente. I tell them to move here. And I go, you say, why San Clemente? I say, why not?
That's right.
That's the thing. Why can't it be?
Yeah. Intrigue.
Right.
Yeah.
Why,
Yeah.
And that's what's really important is getting past these like little pebbles in our shoes. From the music we choose, from how we're viewing the world, how we say it, right? Our thoughts, our words, our actions, continued actions, and then our outcomes would just be different. We went a lot of places.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
On this show, we really did. We took a lot of laps.
This was great, man.
Guys, it's just application-wise, get in tune with the frequencies and then choosing the music. It alone in itself will change your lives.
Huge.
Yeah, bro. That's a cool, very easy thing. We could just flip on, look for Angie's playlist. I'm sure we have them linked up in the show notes. I'm sure Sue found them on there already.
For real, if any, just pick the song that reminds you of your mother. Pick your song that reminds you of your best lover. That'll take you to your feelings. Pick the song that reminds you of no feelings, like you're the only. Like for a lot of men, if Frank Sinatra, My Way, does it make you feel like you could take on the world and that you're ready to do it on your own terms? Do me a favor. Don't ever message me. I love Frank Sinatra. But like something like along those lines,
Yeah.
That's what you want to feel like when you go into a business situation.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, here's another good actionable resource for folks because I've obsessed over it before going into the program at Alpha Hippie with you, is your podcast. Tell me about it because you have interviews, but you also and I've been on there. That was like it felt like the closest thing to Joe Rogan. It was nearly 3 hours. It was epic. That was like almost a year ago now. Crazy, but. Your podcast has these like actions, just 5-8 minute long things that you can like nerd over. But tell me about the podcast, how people can get it, your book, and then we'll wrap her up.
We'll tie a bow on this. Beautiful.
I think so.
All right, gentlemen. So right now I do 3 different types of shows. Joe, you and I did a story, kind of just we're flowing, getting to know each other, front stooping show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The second show that I do is I take subject matter experts that are really specific and geared towards something that is more men specific or relationship, where it's more about getting information. The first is story, the second is information, and then the third one is me guiding or teaching on a certain topic, something that I feel really passionate about, or through my work with men, just something that I'm talking about, and experiencing. For instance, the show came out, about why you keep fighting with your wife and getting them to understand that your wife cares about what you say, think, and say, and you care about what your wife does. So get on the same page with them, because more than likely it's your wife says, "What'd you say?" And then you're like, "Well, what'd you do?" And then that's the issue, right? Like when I go out with my family, we get in the car, my wife gets pissed about what someone said. I get pissed about what someone did.
I can see that. Yep. It's true.
God damn it, your mother was kind of talk. And you know what your dad said? I'm like, yeah. And I'm trying to forgive my dad because I don't think it's a big deal.
Right.
And meanwhile, I'm ready to kill half her family for something they did. Yeah, it's just these different lenses. And I try to get people to see and experience these things because I'm, like I said, I have a nice level of, I have a gifted level of awareness, and I'm trying to share. I share my awareness in real time with other men, hoping that my experiences, my suffering, my victories are able to aid in them in their journeys.
Yeah, man. No, you definitely have that whole collective approach, man. You bring everyone along with you. You're gracious along the way too. You share bags. You have a great time. Just leave that reference there.
Yeah.
And nobody has any idea what we're talking about.
That's all right.
Sorry, inside joke. Hustle and flow. The hustle
hippies, man. Hustle and hippies. We're more like the flow and hippies these days, though, man. We lean more that way. So,
I get you,
brother. This has been great. Where can people? Well, you have the book coming out later in the year, right? So the Alpha Hippie Code. I'm
gonna sell this thing on Black Friday. It's gonna be open up for sale on Black Friday. I'm writing it right now. It's gonna go in editing, and I'm gonna put myself out there in a beautiful, vulnerable way. The Alpha Hippie Code is going to be all about these frequencies and really how to embody them, step into them, and also too, it's a selfish memoir to my son so he could learn about how I learned them, because I have a deep fascination in wanting to know who my father was before he was my father. And I trust that every boy deep down really wants to know a little bit about that. So Alpha Hippie Code will be available around that time, and I'm writing it right now as we speak, and it's absolutely amazing. I laugh and cry every time we put a chapter together. It's an epic journey, and I'm going to continue to do the work and surrender to the divine, and know that as long as I'm wearing the right mask, that everything's going to be beautiful.
Right on, brother. You're doing great things. It's just starting out with the hippie brand, or the Alpha Hippie brand too, man. So you're growing like crazy. It's fun to watch, man, and be involved. So it's been good. Well, I'm sure we'll do it again, my man. Thank you.
No, thank you guys for having me. You two are just studs. And anyone that listens to this show, thank you so much for listening, and all the shows. And I trust that they see you guys as I see you as well. You guys are absolutely amazing, and the quality of content, and also to the tools and resources that Evergreen Profits and Hustle and Flow, that you guys bring out, are really amazing. And I don't say that because I only look at them. I say them because we use them. And we trust in you guys and love you guys and are devoted to you guys. So
appreciate you, brother. Love you too. Thank you, King. All right, Ange. Peace.
Let's love Kings.
Whew.
Ooh, yeah. Take a breath.
That was a lot of good stuff.
It was.
And I feel like we were like tip of the iceberg of the type of stuff Angelo talks about, and what tip of the iceberg of just the conversations we've had with Angelo over the past couple months.
That's why, it was, it's easy to spend a day we did a couple weeks ago. It was pretty simple it was very simple to have an interview when I was with him for nearly 3 hours.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus, where did the time go? But yeah, that's what happens when you get someone that's good at front stoop yapping, being a storyteller. And how powerful is it when you can kind of understand how to tell not only the structure of stories, but there's like a layer deeper of the
why behind the story,
energy, the frequency, all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, when he was talking about storytelling, like I think he put it in a context that I've never looked at storytelling from before, right? Mm-hmm. So like, in my mind, being a good storyteller, it was being a good entertainer. Like people would want to be around you more if you were good at telling stories because you're more entertaining and more enjoyable to be around. If you're a good storyteller, you'd probably be better at podcasting, blogging, content creation in general, things like that if you're a good storyteller. Yeah. The perspective that he approaches storytelling from now is that everybody has these existing stories inside of them, and if he can replace your existing story with a new story, then you guys are both on equal footing when you have conversations around the things that he just told the story about. Sure. So, for example, I've always had this story around, like this was sort of referenced in the show, I've always had this story around like tobacco and things like that. Like, smoking is nasty. I hate the smell of cigarettes. I had a teeny tiny phase in high school where I smoked cigarettes for a little bit because I thought it made me look cool, I guess. I didn't get addicted. It didn't last very long. But
did you take pictures? And you're like,
I don't think there's any pictures floating around of me smoking cigarettes. I probably bought one pack ever. And by the time I was done with the pack, I was like, screw this. Like, that doesn't make me feel good. Yeah. But I've always had these stories around tobacco, right? But we went over to his house and we were there, and he started telling stories about tobacco. He was telling these stories around how in like the psychedelic world, you've got ayahuasca, which is the mother, and tobacco is considered the father because of its ability to sort of change your state and the masculine and feminine energies. And there's a whole, rabbit hole around that he was telling stories around. And then he was also talking about tobacco, as tobacco used to be the thing that like in like tribal civilizations, they would all kind of pass the pipe around, or they would all pass the so many traditions, the rolled tobacco or cigar around. And like that was sort of the community time, was people like sort of passing the tobacco around and telling stories around tobacco. And then he was also telling us, from a, I don't know if it's the right word, physiological, like what it does to your body. He was telling us that like little bits of tobacco and little hints of nicotine help you, bring you more present and get you a little more clarity, focused. Mental, and people use like nicotine gums and things like that as like a focused nootropic and stuff, right? So we got to his house and I had no intention on like smoking tobacco with him that day, but after he
and
framed... Yeah, we actually vaped it, but but after he sort of framed all of these stories about like tobacco is the sort of cultural storytelling thing, and tobacco does this for your body, and tobacco being the sort of mother plant, and all of these different stories he told around, or father plant, after he told all of these different stories, he sort of replaced the internal stories I had around tobacco with these new stories, and then when he offered some up, when he had his volcano vaporizer thing, when he offered some up, I was a lot less hesitant to turn it down, because now I have all these new stories about it, right? Yeah. And that's not to say that like I necessarily think tobacco is like a good, healthy thing now. I'm just saying it's been completely reframed to me. And
there's a deeper meaning to it.
There's a different perception around it now. And so he basically... his new stories overwrote my existing stories, so I was less resistant to that sort of change when the opportunity came.
So now that's why you're a chain smoker.
That's why I smoke 2 packs a day.
Damn it, Angelo. You shifted the story. No, I'm just kidding. You were not doing that.
I'm not doing that.
That is not what Angel's doing.
No, I see things like tobacco as a tool. Like now I know that's a tool in my toolbox of, okay, if I really, really want to get focused in, maybe we'll vaporize a little bit of tobacco. Like we don't even smoke it. We don't even combust it. We like vaporize the tobacco, right? So
it's a tool. It's a tool. So, I mean, that's where you actually had me remember from when I did ayahuasca, and I didn't know it at the time, but they might have said it, but I forgot. But tobacco, I think it was the shaman there. He had cigarettes, but they were like these ceremonially rolled. It's not like he just whipped out a pack of Marlboro Reds.
Yeah,
he was like, but that was part of the ceremony, not from us smoking that. We were doing the ayahuasca, but I think it was just like it was kind of puffed in the air. This like tobacco, it was like a almost like in the air. I think that's pretty common actually in the ceremonies. If it's like a feminine dominant thing, it's got to be an energy thing. And I guess I didn't really understand that, but that is what Angelo is talking about with these stories. I mean, it gets back to what we talked about here in this podcast.
Yeah.
It's all, everything's a frequency. It's an energy. Most of it we can't see. I'm relating to other things. Like we just watched a video. We're actually not supposed to say much about it, but with our buddy Amish Shah.
Oh yeah.
But like a lot of what he was saying in that funny video, which one day when it's public, we'll share it around.
Right.
It's just not ready for prime time yet. But he was talking about how there's all these things that we can't hear, we can't see, the spectrum of light. There's all these auditory frequencies and sounds we just can't hear. Obviously, like dog whistle. Dogs are hearing totally different. So just imagine anything that we're missing out on in life. And Angelo talked about how he has a deeper level of awareness, and that's how he's focused and allowed himself to really create space to do that. And he legit trained himself into that space.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so obvious. He walks on a different plane. Like there's a different level wave of thinking, obviously frequency waves, than I would say anyone else walking on the street or most people, it's just kind of obvious.
Yeah.
And it's really intriguing.
Yeah.
Which that was a great reframe too. The whole intrigue versus intimidation.
Yeah. No, that was a good reframing.
Yeah. It's the most interesting man in the world.
Yeah. So like, being a storyteller has additional benefits beyond the more obvious benefit of just having the attention on you. Right. Another thing that he talked about, and I actually wrote this quote down because I loved it. Be an energetic DJ of your life.
Oh yeah,
right. Like
he's said that multiple times. I saw you write it down, so I was happy because I was like, hell, I always like that line.
Yeah, be an energetic DJ of your life, and like the idea being that like when you get into your car, a lot of times the radio might be on, and you just whatever sort of energy frequencies the radio's putting out, that's what you're getting. You're giving up the control of your energy to another thing.
They're programming you.
Yeah. So like if you're trying to like go into a sales meeting or something and you need to kind of be like empowered and have that masculine energy and ready, but you're listening to like freaking Enya in the drive over, right? It's there's a little bit of a mismatch of energy there.
Yeah. My heart will go on from the Titanic. My heart will go. I don't remember. I don't know. For some reason,
that's
was it Celine Dion?
Yeah. Celine Dion.
Like, you pump that right before you're about to get into like to pitch for your new startup.
Yeah. Do you think that's what Conor McGregor's listening to as he's walking into the ring?
Like, oh, Rose going down with the shower. I forget now. It's been a while since I watched, but if you're going to go like hang out with your grandma or something, you might want to listen to something a little bit calmer, get yourself into the more feminine energy. And again, like he said, the male energy or the feminine versus masculine energy, there's people have stories around that. Those are just labels, so pick and choose how you want to label.
So a lot of people hear this and probably get triggered by it because they're like, oh, when I say feminine energy, he's saying like, oh, that's a girly thing to do. No, it's not. There's no sex attached to it.
Get your makeup, Matt. I'm gonna get your handbag over here.
Masculine doesn't have to be male and feminine doesn't have to be female. It's just like an energy, and so like saying something is feminine doesn't mean you're saying it's girly, and saying something is masculine doesn't mean you're saying it's manly, right? And I think
people get caught up on that.
I do think a lot of people get caught up.
I have in the past as well. Yeah, and I think understanding it in this format, and I like the fact that here's Angelo, this kind of like man's man kind of looking dude. Because he is, and explain it in his terms, I think helps maybe demystify it a little bit. Yeah, man, this is cool. This was fun. Stuff. Yeah, and we'll definitely have him on again because check out Alpha Hippie. Their programs, their podcast is legit. I would say start there, and it's just listen to Angelo behind the mic. There's he has a different perception of how a lot of us will approach things, and I think those reframes, those little reframes here and there, will just help you out, just to see things a little differently. But go reach out to them if you like what you heard. They are pretty damn awesome, obviously. So What else, Matt? We took action guide notes, of course, for this episode. I think they will be fabulous, and you can get them for free right now, but only right now if it's within 2 weeks of this going live.
And maybe again later. We'll see.
Maybe later. We're toying with that idea, but we'll see. Right now it's 2 weeks. It's still a lot of time. So go to flowchartgroup.com. Make sure to plug in your email address. You're also getting access to our Facebook community at flowchartgroup.com. And Easy Webinar is also our fabulous sponsor. They've been supporting us for feels like 10 years.
Yeah,
I love him.
I mean, technically, he probably has been supporting us since even before the podcast. But
well, he's been our so he, meaning Casey Zeman, he will go named, not unnamed. He has started Easy Webinar many moons ago. I actually helped him with some sales videos way back in the day when I was figuring out what the hell I was doing in business. I had no clue. But he, you know what? I helped him out. He helped me out by paying the bill for me to work with this. It was my sister was actually sketching stuff. It's crazy, man. It was a whole family affair. But Casey Zeman has, he built this product for you, or if you are not doing, it's for you actually. No, it's for you. It's for you. Jim, Bill, Susan. We say all the same names, actually.
Do we?
Ferdinand. Ferdinand. That's a good one. I like it.
Fernando.
I like it. Yes.
Manny.
Sure.
Will. Jerickson.
Oh, yeah? I wonder. Okay.
Hassan. Kim. I'm just naming Padres.
Yes, you are. I don't know why I was blanking out on the names of the players. I watched almost every game. But
Eric. I'm talking to you, Eric.
Okay.
Trent.
A lot of men.
Too.
A lot of men, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of men, Matt. All right. Name all the women now.
Fernanda.
Oh, Jesus. This is horrible.
Mana.
Mania.
I'm no good
Mania.
at this.
All right. We're losing
Too
people.
much masculine energy there.
Back to Easy Webinar, since we don't want to lose the points, since they have fabulously sponsored this episode. Easy Webinar is the jam. So if you're doing webinars or if you've been thinking about doing webinars, this is the tool. This is the software solution for you. They do it all. Because why would you want to?
Why would you?
I think Matt likes to. He freakishly likes to build all this tech out and spend all of his evenings wasting away. I gotta build.
You know what's
my
interesting
pages.
though is I do
Easy
like
Webinar does it for you.
I do like to build tech stuff, but when I find a shortcut that does it faster, I go with that.
Well, there we go. So tell us about why you would choose this really fast. We'll wrap this puppy up.
Well, because Easy Webinar, if I want to do live webinars, could do it with Easy Webinar. Want to do automated webinars? Can do it with Easy Webinar. Okay. Hybrid. Easy Webinar.
So how about all that tech stuff? So what would that involve if you did not use something like Easy Webinar?
I don't know. Figuring out how to make webinars online.
You would have to probably string up what? I mean, tell me some specifics, man. You know, people are using like.
Do you think I know how to program a webinar without something like Easy Webinar?
But you can sure as hell hack a webinar. Things like, put a YouTube unlisted video for a page that's gonna go live at this certain time, but maybe used YouTube. I don't know. Like, try to hack this. You know, you do this.
But why would I do that when I know I could just go to Easy Webinar?
That's the point I'm making here. Jesus, you're the tech guy, and I'm the one that has to come up with this stuff.
Oh, but what I'm trying to say is I wouldn't try to figure it out at this point because I've got Easy Webinar that I can go to.
Good point. All right, where do they get it?
EasyWebinar.com/hustle.
Why go there?
Because if you go to EasyWebinar.com, you could still get it, but you won't get it as cheap as if you go to EasyWebinar.com/hustle.
Where do they go again now?
EasyWebinar.com/hustle.
Got it. Okay, cool. So check out EasyWebinar.com/hustle.
Yeah.
Thank you, y'all.
You'll get it cheaper than if you go to EasyWebinar.com.
That's right. All right. Lastly, we're going to read a review, and then we got to get out of here because we have to record another podcast. Matt.
Yes.
Tell us all how to leave a review.
If you go over to iTunes and click into the podcast, I'm pretty sure there's a button that says write a review.
No one knew how to do that, Matt.
Well, they do now. Congratulations.
Okay. Well, I hate this review already, but I'm sure Matt loves it. So, Imperfect Parent, which Lord knows we are. That was the name of the person that. Oh, you perfect?
Yeah.
Because you didn't agree. So, all right. So, Matt's the. All right, so Imperfect Parent via Apple Podcasts in Canada wrote this 2 days ago. Matt's beard is epic. 5 stars.
So is he rating my beard or the podcast?
That was the only mention.
Is my beard 5 stars or is the podcast 5 stars?
Just listening to Matt and Joe as I leveled up I have level. Oh,
You didn't try to reverse the names this time either.
No, I know I didn't. But just listening to Joe and Matt, I have leveled up my game in just about every area, from building successful affiliate campaigns to launching a #1 podcast.
Holy.
And also, maybe the most important is learning more about how to make life and work fun.
Dude, we're doing what we've set out to do.
Dude, other than Imperfect Parents' first comment about your beard being epic, I mean, it's thicker.
Yeah.
It's got some weird growth under it that we don't speak of.
Yeah.
But, it's, I love that comment.
The doctor says it might be infected. I'll have to get that
infected beard. This is the direction we're taking the show. This is the reason why we're doing this. So it's really cool to see a review like this.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for leaving that 5-star review, because we accept nothing less.
Yes.
So please give us more of those, because our egos need it, for the love of God.
And we'll read them because we like reading them.
Yeah.
Especially if you comment on my beard.
Well, I'm going to start ignoring those.
Yeah, just comment on the beard.
All right. Thank you all.
I'll
We
read it,
love
don't worry.
y'all.
Okay.
Adios.
Bye. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Hustle and Flowchart podcast. Before taking the time to listen, we want to give you something a little bit special. Every single episode that we do, we actually have somebody on our team take notes. We basically have a Cliff's Notes version of every episode where you can go and find all of the tips and tactics that they laid out, all of the resources that they laid out, all the good stuff from this episode. We actually have a nice, simple notes version that you can find on our website. So go to evergreenprofits.com, find this episode that you just listened to, and give us your email address, and we'll send you the notes. Thanks for listening.
Go get it.